Hello, hello. Welcome back to the Trading Triangle. Once again, it is me and Kaye. Happy Sunday, Kaye. How are you doing?
Happy Sunday, Sean. What's up? Happy Sunday to everybody who's watching.
Yeah, it's lovely today. It's nice and sunny, not a cloud in the sky. What about over where you are?
Well, we have it's a little bit cloudy here. It might rain, but we have a very good weather here. Today is almost 60 degrees Fahrenheit, so it's pretty warm, and I'm looking forward to the warmer weather in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, we're ready and waiting for spring and summer, that's for sure. Your clocks have already changed. Our hasn't yet. Our clock's changing in a couple of weeks, so looking forward to that very much. So for some brighter evenings for sure. Obviously, today we're just a couple of guys looking at the charts, so it's not financial advice. We're just doing it for a little bit of fun, of course. So yeah, it's not financial advice. Obviously, thank you very much for Wolf for letting us use the platform. We really appreciate it. And down below, if you put your tickers in there, we can get to them a bit later on after our charts of the week. We can have a look at our charts of the week and then get through your tickers. We've had 4 already, so keep them coming. We really do appreciate the kind of comments, because obviously it gives us new ideas and new perspectives on charts as well. Should we jump into slideshow, okay?
Let's do this.
Awesome, right. March the 17th already. Wow, here we go.
Like
Last week.
the first quarter is about to end in 2 weeks.
I know, yeah. It seems crazy, doesn't it? Yeah, so obviously market overview last week, it was looking a bit red, bit kind of negative, and you can kind of see that pervade on the screen here. We've got a couple of good names, obviously. You've got NVIDIA there, AVGO, Broadcom. You've got AMD's not too bad as well. Netflix and Palantir as well, doing pretty well, 8%. But across the board, pretty red, I would say. The only good day really was Friday, wasn't it? Before that, it was looking a bit sour.
I think so. I think was it this week on Monday when we had that big downturn?
Yeah, I mean, we had a couple of big downturns throughout the week.
Yeah, I mean, it feels like so long ago that we had that
does, yeah.
massive drop that I think that one day felt like an entire week or so. But I think the weakness is still there. This could be an interim bounce that generally don't go down in a straight line, right? There would be bounces. So, what has changed since the sell-off on Monday? I don't know. I haven't seen anything changing. There's no policy change, so this could be just a short-term relief. But again, nobody can call those bottoms. Nobody can call the tops. So it's a waste of our time even thinking about it.
No, what we can do is just give our 2 cents on the market and kind of obviously not predict things as you just mentioned, but just kind of give our thoughts on the current market sentiment and where we think some stocks could be heading potentially. But obviously, again, as I mentioned right at the beginning of this, it's not financial advice what we say. We've got a few, obviously, requests coming in. We've got Snow, MongoDB, Confluent, we've got QCOM here as well. We've got Delo, Apple, and we've got a Cliff that says, hi, guys. Hi, Cliff. How you doing? We've got VRT as well, and thoughts about Solax, please. I don't know what that is or what it is, but we can add it to the list and we can have a look at it a bit later on.
Exactly.
What do you think, Kaye?
Yeah, absolutely. Let's
awesome. Right.
Keep it rolling.
Exactly. Let's move on to the Fear and Greed Index and a couple of news points we have here. Do you want to talk about the news points before we jump into the Fear and Greed?
Yeah, I think so. Next week, we have a couple of important events that are happening. One is the retail sales numbers are going to come out. So if you were following the news this past week, the consumer confidence was down. I did post it on my Twitter feed. So it will be very interesting to see how the retail sales are shaping up. I did not know, I was not tracking this news, but apparently there was some kind of a boycott of not Tesla, but Target and Walmart because of the DEI issues. So they saw a real drop in the foot traffic, at least in their stores. We saw the foot traffic increase in Costco and similar other brands, but it will be interesting to see how the retail is shaping because that will tell you the consumer confidence. Next up is the NVIDIA GTC event. This is their annual. I think it's annual, but the key is NVIDIA could trigger the turnaround, or we could see further downside. But I'm hoping more on the hopeful side that this could be a turnaround from NVIDIA, depending upon what they launch, or at least what they tell us what's going on. Among the Max 7, I think NVIDIA is probably sitting at the most comfortable place compared to the other Max 7s. And then, of course, the interest rate decision, I don't see anything changing, but we might get to hear some kind of a commentary around that front.
Yeah, it's going to be plenty of commentary. We've got the summary of economic projections coming out at the same time as well. So that's kind of the report around kind of what Fed speakers and stuff.
So Sean, one of the comments we got, will this be available to watch later? Yeah,
I was going
absolutely.
to bring that up. Yeah, so it's available on the YouTube channel. You can search for the Trading Triangle on the YouTube channel, which will be available obviously now and obviously post recording as well. I think you can access it on X also. It will be on our channels and obviously Wolf channel as well, which again we appreciate it. We see you as well. Click ticker. Thoughts about Barber. We'll get to that a bit later on, of course. But yeah, the Free and Greed. Moving over to that one, we've got 21 at the moment. Obviously, last weekend we were sitting at 14, which is a lot lower. It's kind of been floating around this sort of area for a few weeks now. Obviously going as low as 14, maybe even lower on a particular day. But still with extreme fear, even with that really nice day on Friday, which we'll get to in a minute on the charts, of course. But yeah, I mean, are you feeling fearful at the moment, or are you just kind of sitting back and letting it happen?
No, I think as an investor or even a trader, I think you just take it as a day by day. I mean, when the fear is good, so this is the general concept that when it's an extreme fear, you should be greedy and buy more. I don't think that's the right approach. I think it depends, because you could also stay in the extreme fear for a much longer time, and the stocks could go down even further. So I think the answer is more nuanced than just buy and load the boat. Those are typical terminologies thrown around the FinTwit and YouTubers by them. So I don't really believe it. However, the put to call ratio actually went up. We were 0.81. Now we are 0.83. So those are the little nuances that you have to also keep in mind. So there are still more puts being opened as opposed to calls.
I think it's about observations, isn't it? If you get down into the extreme fear, or even fear, just be a bit more observant with your potential stock investments or even trades as well. I definitely turn more towards my investing hat when I get down into the kind of extreme fear, just because it makes more sense for the longer term. But again, I don't buy everything, so it's okay.
You see the last comment? That's a funny comment.
Say it with me. Sunday sell off.
I hope not. That's why we have the Sundays our markets are closed. Imagine if it was open all 7 days.
Yeah, well, next September it's going to be 24/5. Is that right? All day, every day, apart from Saturday, Sunday, which is crazy. It'd be interesting to see how the volatility spreads across the day, like different time zones. Which will be, I think that'll be really interesting. Anyway, we're getting a bit off track here. We'll move on to the next slide, which is the earnings. There's a few on here that I know that you'll probably like. For me personally, it's going to be XPeng and obviously Neo up here. Follow Neo quite closely on the channel. Also, say the profile. And there was another one I was looking at as well, but I can't remember what it was. So I'll let you take over. Pinduoduo is the other one.
For me personally, the most important among these are Nike. Because Nike has been in a downturn for a very long time, and with the new CEO, I really want to see what the commentary is going to be, at least coming quarters. I don't expect a complete reversal on the stock, but we would want to see how the future guidance is for Nike and what are the changes the new CEO is bringing. We could see a turnaround on the stock, just like we saw for Starbucks. So that is what I'm hoping for, and that's what I'll be tracking.
Awesome. Yeah. So apart from that, not a huge amount going on, is there, in terms of?
I mean, there's Micron also. It's there, but my main focus will be Nike.
Coming towards the end of the season now, which is interesting because we've only got probably a month between the next one starting. So That's always fun. Awesome. We'll jump into the first chart of the day then, which is SPY. Now, I've kind of zoomed out here on the weekly chart just to get a bit of perspective of where we are. Obviously, it feels a bit painful and people kind of, I don't want to say suffering, but there's lots of commentary around on X about people getting a bit worried perhaps around the kind of market, etc. But all you have to do is really kind of zoom out. And this is just the last 2 years of trading from basically this point down here to obviously where we are now. We've been on a bull run for just over 2 years now. So it's incredible to see that. And it's kind of normal to get this kind of normal correction. And maybe we do get a bounce here, maybe we don't. But I just want to give that kind of perspective of just zoom out sometimes and just take it all in. It's not actually that bad. So just be aware of that. I'll stop rambling now. But your thoughts on SPY?
So one thing I think this week is going to be especially more volatile because I just looked up. It's a quad witching week, so which means that all the option contracts are going to expire on 3/21. So it doesn't necessarily mean the stock is going to go down or the ETF is going to go down. It just means that there's going to be a lot more trading activity. So keep that in mind if you are actively trading this week. And I think from a broader perspective at this point in time, on the SPY, are we down to 200 or what? Let me see.
The SPY to 200.
No, right?
We're at 562.
Yeah, we are below 200. So that's
Oh,
great.
you mean the daily?
Yeah, on the daily, yes. On the daily, yes.
I mean 200 as in the actual dollar amount.
No, so on the daily we are below the 200-day SMA. So from a SPY standpoint, generally you would be adding to your long-term portfolio, and that's what exactly I'm doing. At least, buy the good quality companies on these major moving averages. That's the only thing you need to do, honestly, in these markets.
Yeah, exactly. So to keep an eye out for the Max 7, of course. We've got Cliff here. We will never tell people to buy stuff, so you can go ahead and stop commenting about it, because we won't be telling people. You can do that yourself on your own channel, but we're not going to do that here, unfortunately. Sorry, Cliff. That's not what we're about. We'll move on to the QQQ chart very quickly. So we've got this one, a little bit more support around this area. This is the zone I've had drawn for a number of weeks now. Yes, we dropped right down below it, which I did mention last week could happen, because obviously my charts aren't gospel. But we kind of taken that area back a little bit on Friday. So it just shows that this area is of interest for most people as a trader, as an investor. So we've got this volume here as well, but this could actually act as resistance. So just be aware of kind of how you're trading that. And of course, we are still below the 50 moving average on there. Any thoughts there, Kaye?
No, I think similar comments about the SPY. This will be more volatile depending upon how the Max 7 performs this week.
Yeah, so definitely it's going to be an interesting week, especially with all the news and obviously with the NVIDIA event that you mentioned as well. But Wednesday is the day, and just to be careful with your trading, of course. It can be high volatile around 7 o'clock here in the UK. Actually, no, because the time hasn't changed. It'll be 6 o'clock. Don't know what that is there. So that must be, what, 2 p.m. where you are?
Yeah.
Yeah, so just be careful, 2 p.m. in Eastern time. So yeah, we'll move on, I guess, from QQQ to my first chart of the day, which is my pick of the week, and that is Uber. I had a comment on this earlier on my channel, which is quite timely, because they asked me to cover it, and of course I'm covering it now. I like it here because on the left side, this left side of the screen is the daily chart, and on the right side you've got the weekly chart, and we've got a bit of support here. But I will turn our attention quickly to the weekly chart. We've got obviously a low set here in July of last year, and then a bit of a higher low, like a section of higher lows, should we say, kind of the end of 2024. And then another higher low here, kind of set in probably about February or so, but just maybe setting another higher low here. So basically, it's trending up in the right direction. So we'll see how that goes this week. But I like it for support on the daily as well. So we've got the 200 moving average coming through, which is the red line. And again, the 50 moving average, which is again coming through for the daily. So there's lots of support here in terms of the moving averages. Now, of course, it can just come back down and challenge the trend line again, and that's to be expected. It can happen. But I just wanted to make people aware that maybe this is an interesting point for Uber going forward. And that's why I picked it for the week, because obviously it's a shorter term potential trade. But yeah, what are your thoughts on this one, Kaye?
Well, if you follow my channel, you know that Uber is my top 5 stocks for this year, right? And I am more looking Uber from a more asymmetrical bet, which is a more position and a swing trade. So definitely, I mean, I'm in favor of Uber, honestly, considering it's way below its fair price. So if you want to check it out from a long-term investing standpoint or swing trading, definitely check out the video that I posted on Uber on my channel. But I like Uber, honestly. For short-term, I'm still running a wheel strategy on Uber on a weekly basis. So basically getting in on Monday, trying to get out of the stock the next following week as well. So
I think it would be good if you can put that video link in on your channel, on your X channel, and just post it as a tweet, and then people watching now can go straight to your profile and click on, have a look at it, or save it for later or whatever. But yeah, I think Uber looks good for future. I mean, just general future. It's the conglomerate of a kind of takeaway driving, whatever you call it, ride sharing. That's the one I was trying to get rid of. Yeah, ride sharing. It's the king. It's like Netflix of streaming, isn't it? So
it is, and I remember, like, at least it was 2 weeks back before the whole Elon Musk drama started. I think Uber did mention, the CEO did mention that they did go to Tesla for a collaboration which they were not interested in. So we'll see how the robotaxi event plays out for Tesla. But I think Uber is not going out of business anytime soon.
No, I agree. Right. That's it for me for this week. You can find me on X at SeanTrays_, and obviously on YouTube as well, where I'm posting some content every couple of weeks now, if not once a month, kind of around finance and obviously trading as well. And of course, I've got the trading room here as well, which is my trading community, which you can go ahead and have a look at. The link will be kind of on the X, as you can see on the screen there. It's the first thing you see, so you can't miss it. But yeah, with that, we'll turn you over to Kaye's pick of the week. What you got, Kaye?
Well, as you probably guess, it is NVIDIA for this week. And for a short-term trade, I think there are two main points here. Number one is we are 6% away from the SMA, 200-day SMA, which could act as a resistance. However, if that breaks, we could see a short-term bounce or short-term rally. How long that rally will last, I think that depends on many things. One, what Jensen Huang says in the event, and if there is any broader good news on the market from the administration. So those things could play. But for a short-term trade, if you're looking for day trading, this could present an opportunity. I am personally, I'm tracking this trade on a very close basis because I probably will. If it gets rejected, I might play for a call credit spread, which would be basically saying this is where the maximum the price will go. I do think the downtrend line, we could see a rejection from there as well, even if it breaks through the 200-day SMA. Yeah, but there's still, for day trading, you can still make some substantial gain. 6% is pretty good if you want to do a day trade on this one.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just trying to look for gaps. There just isn't any, is there, really? I don't know if that is a tiny one here. Just to see if it would kind of retrace back down here before it makes another higher. But I'd like to see another higher low for sure, maybe somewhere around 116, 114 before it makes another move higher.
Yeah, so I think Jensen Huang speaks on Tuesday. So you could see that playing on the day off or while he's speaking.
Yeah.
But also keep in mind, a lot of times these events is always buy the rumor, sell the news. So you could see a rally up to when he's speaking, while he's speaking, and then once he is done, you might see a sell-off, right? That these events are hard to predict. What he's going to tell us from what he has already told us, he could throw us some more tidbits of information that was after the earnings report, right? Which came out, couple weeks ago? Like February something, right? Mid-February, the report was there.
Yeah.
So it's been about a month, 4 weeks. So things might have changed. We might hear something. We might hear some agentic AI stuff from Jensen Huang. So lot to look forward to. And I think among the Max 7, I'm still more bullish on NVIDIA as opposed to any other Max 7. And we'll touch upon Apple. I'll give my more theory on Apple, but I think NVIDIA is probably in a better position, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly got work to do, but I think all eyes on Tuesday, as you mentioned, to see what kind of comes out of that conference. And the kind of price action around that would be very interesting. As you mentioned, obviously, during the kind of conference, it'll be very volatile, but after that, it'll be interesting to see how the market kind of reacts to their future quarters, potentially. But for me, I'd like to get it back above the trend line.
Yeah.
That to me would be very bullish. If you're to play, potentially a position from the trend line to obviously all-time highs, that would be really cool. Probably about 15%, I think, off the top of my head. And the RSI is looking pretty good around 50, so no reason why that can't do. You can't see that because we're in the way. We just drop out, so you can see that around 50 there on the chart. But yeah, it's definitely one to watch for sure. It'd be interesting to see which one does better this week, NVIDIA or Uber. We'll see. Maybe we should start doing the competition.
Maybe we should.
Yeah. Okay, well, we'll start it this week. We'll see which one gains or loses the most, shall we say.
Sounds good.
Awesome. So where can we find you, okay?
You can find me on X, where I do try to post on a daily basis, sometimes multiple times throughout the day. Twitter, Twitter, right? YouTube is my channel where I post on a regular basis, so definitely follow me there. I do have some videos planned out. I just haven't gotten around it. So more to come in the coming weeks or so. And then I do a summary of most of the trades that I do on the Substack. So if you like the written version, follow me there.
Sweet. We'll start getting into the charts in a second, but make sure you put your ticker requests in the comments. We'd be happy to go through some of the tickers. We've got quite a few already. But we'll probably run time for about 45 to an hour, something like that. We'll see how it goes, see how many requests we get. I will just pull out of this so I can get the charts ready. Lots of nice looking charts at the moment, actually, I must admit. I've been looking through this weekend. Maybe I'll do a separate session for that at some point during the week, but we are looking pretty good. I will eventually find out how to get it. There we go. Got it. Anyway.
Is that a weekly or what?
This one's a weekly, yeah. I mean, I'll switch to a daily. This is SPY though. Which one's first?
Microsoft is the first one.
Microsoft.
I'll also see if there's any news around Microsoft. We'll see.
So it looks like it's dipped into my zone this week. So we've got, what's that, 5 days of trading? Yeah, so on Monday, we dipped down into the zone, which we've got there just below 382. Kind of traded around that area for the whole week, and we just popped out of it on Friday. But we do have an immediate, of course, trend line. We'll draw that on the screen for you now. And then we'll just spread that out so you can see it a bit closer. That is the kind of the trend line to break. If we do break that, then obviously we probably see a return to the 50 and the 20-minute average over given time, of course. But for me, it's the gap fill, which looks quite appealing here at 440. I don't know about UK. What are your thoughts on Microsoft?
Well, the first thought that comes to my mind is that we had a nice bounce of the 376, which it was your previous resistance going back to 2023. So that was definitely positive. Considering the stock is down all its SMAs, substantially, it presents good opportunity to start to nibbling in, dollar cost average to your long-term position in Microsoft if you have one. From a trading perspective, I don't know if I want to run any options because, first of all, Microsoft doesn't provide that good of IV. So the premium is not as good as some of the other Max 7s. I generally prefer Meta over Microsoft for running wheel strategy because there's a lot more premium over there. But I think from a long-term perspective, I really like adding Microsoft considering it's below the 200-day SMA. And if we even add the 300 SMA, which generally people don't use it, we can probably see if it's below 300. Let me just check. That will
I do like Microsoft. I've been adding it for the last couple of weeks, even these kind of areas, just for the long-term position, not as a trade.
It's below 300 SMA also, by the way.
Really? Wow.
Yeah. So you're getting a pretty good deal, I would say.
And this is the weekly chart as well. It just hasn't moved really since basically the turn of 2024 year, 2023 to 24. The turn of the year there, we're back trading at those levels. Now, I don't know what the PE ratio is looking like, Kaye, but it must be maybe in its 30s or something like that.
I can tell you the PE, the forward PE is 29. So it's really, it's really not that bad actually for buying a quality company like Microsoft. The PE is pretty good.
It's interesting. I like this zone here. Obviously, if it does continue to come down the zone, I'll just continue buying for just investing standpoint for me personally. Trading wise, yeah, I'm a bit like you. I don't really trade Microsoft too much. It's not exciting enough, I think, in terms of
one other point I just want to make on the dollar cost average. So, for example, let's say you dollar cost average at 380. It doesn't make sense for you to add another round at 370 because the average is not enough. You want it to fall further to add and actually take benefit of the downturn. So that's why when you're doing dollar cost average, look at the levels that you really want to add and take those bigger gaps when you're adding new tranches, because otherwise it doesn't make any sense. You added at 380, then you added 370, then 360. Maybe don't add at 370, add at 360. So at least when you do 360, 380, your average comes out to be 370, right?
Yeah. Nice. I like that. All right, what's next?
Next is Snowflake, another top 5 of my 2025, which is...
Well, I'll let you kick this one off then.
Well, so...
This is the weekly chart, by the way.
It's the weekly chart. Okay, so I am looking at, on my side on the daily chart, there was a gap up back in 2024 November.
This one.
Yeah, that's the gap. And this we got a bounce in the last 3 days, 4 days from the top of that. It filled the gap a little bit and then we bounced off. There is still a downtrend line that is coming down, which is still concerning because we haven't really seen much strength in snow lately. But that also is due to the fact that we had a broader downturn and the economic policies. By the way, let me see where the earnings are coming up. Earnings are coming up on 5/22, so we have about 2 months from now. So we don't have any specific catalyst for snow, unless somebody knows they can put it on the chat. But I don't know if we will have any major swings. We could trade sideways throughout until we get a next catalyst. But what I just saw on the news that Snowflake is in discussion with Google for AI deal. So that if that goes through or that there's an announcement, we could see a spike up going back to the earlier highs. And also there is another gap up at between the levels of 193 and 211. So that gap down was created back in February of 2024, which was never filled. So about an year. So you saw two major gaps.
What level was that?
That was 193 to 211.
So 211's up here. So
Yeah.
that's another gap there, the second green line.
So when we had the gap down, probably that was the earnings. We had a gap down in February, and then we saw a continuous downtrend going all the way to the $100, $105, $106 mark. And then we started seeing a little bit uptrend. Then the earnings report came out. It was pretty good earnings back in November. We saw a gap up. And then the stock has been kind of consolidating in this barcode fashion. But I think this deal, that could be a catalyst for the next uptrend. Otherwise, we might still see sideways trading for the Snowflake, maybe trying to fill that gap that we just created.
It's an interesting one. Is it one of those that kind of people should be looking, well, not should be, but could be looking at for their long-term portfolios? Is that?
So, I mean, depends on how you want to. It was a very popular SaaS company, at least for the retail traders. When it came out, IPO'd, retail traders were buying like hands over fist, right?
Yeah.
When you look at the fundamentals of the company, I mean, you will be paying a forward PE of what, 135? So if you are a true value investor, this stock might not be the one for you. However, this is a growth company. So there's always that pull and push between the type of investing that you are doing. Some people will be completely okay paying 135. Some people would not be paying. So there's no right answer here.
This level was quite interesting here around kind of 146, 145. Let's get a bigger line in there. Oh, why is everything green? Just because you got lots of buying from this area and it went on for quite some time. And then again, a little bit of a pop here. And obviously during this candle as well would have been a bit of buying. So this area that we're sitting at now might be of interest, but I would like it to come back down towards the trend line a bit more personally. But yeah, this is the weekly chart. So if we dive into the daily, then in even a bit more detail of that kind of zone there is the 200 moving average as well. So yeah, things are getting a bit tasty there for Snowflake. I better write that one down before I forget to write it down. What's next, okay?
Next up is MongoDB. MDB.
Yeah. This one dropped off recently. I remember. Yeah, there we go. Must have been an earnings report down here. Must be poor guidance, I imagine.
3.5. No, they beat the top and bottom line. Let me see what happened.
Yeah, guidance must be bad.
Has to be. Yeah, exactly. You're absolutely right. MongoDB's outlook weakens as non-Atlas revenue slows. So I don't follow MDB that closely. So maybe if somebody knows what Atlas is, maybe it's the product name. But yeah, I mean, that was a pretty nasty drop, I would say.
So we've got a bit of a level here. Obviously, price action kind of bounced around 141 before, back in end of 2022. We're heading down towards that area at the bottom of the channel, should we say? And then obviously that line as well potentially might play out as a bit of a channel. But I don't really trade until it comes out of the channel. Lots of people like to trade within the ranges. More so horizontal ranges than actual kind of up and down ranges. Especially you, of course, you trade ranges as well, horizontal ranges.
Yeah.
But this is probably a silly question, but you don't trade ranges that kind of go down or go up, do you? You just trade
No.
ranges
I
between.
generally prefer horizontal range rather than, because for wheel strategy that makes a lot more sense, because what you are trying to in wheel strategy, you are basically banking on the premium that you are getting, not on the capital appreciation. So if it's in this kind of if in this range, basically I'll be at a loss running a wheel strategy.
Yeah, no, of course. That's actually a 23% fall from where it is now down to that line that I've suggested, which is crazy, actually, considering
Yeah,
the moves it's already made.
and I don't know, maybe folks can put their comments. What do you all think based on how things are progressing? When I came to 2025 in the beginning, I was a little bit more bullish on the SaaS industry, because we are just coming off from a big high on the administration is changing. It will be very pro business. However, how things have turned out, I seems like, I don't have any proof, I haven't seen any data yet, that the sentiments on the SaaS companies are slowly shifting, and it's looking a little bit more bearish, because in general all other industries are also looking bearish because of all the tariff war and all the uncertainty that's happening. But would love to know what everybody else thinks on the comments, if they have any.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see what people think. Yeah, should we move on from MongoDB?
Yeah, next is also on the similar side, Confluent, CFLT.
So this is one we've looked at before, for sure. We've definitely looked at it there, and perhaps that didn't quite play out as we, spoke about. Maybe come back down for the retest and make a move higher, but that didn't happen at all. We're now playing around the 200 moving average. To dip down below, punch back straight back up, and then come dip down below again, and now we're kind of back above it. The 200 moving averages, or any moving average really, doesn't always act as a complete resistance or support. It often plays around that sort of area. Wouldn't you agree there, Kaye?
I agree, and the last candle was still pretty weak, I would say.
Yeah, not much going on.
It tried to push above, and then I think the sellers probably push it down back on the last day. We did get the last news about Confluent was we got an upgrade by UBS, but that was back in 26th February. So I think a decent amount of time has passed since then.
One thing I would say is the volume has got a bit higher since the earnings, so people may be turning their eyes more towards this name.
Could
Obviously,
be.
got a bit of a flat volume here, and then earnings happened. Obviously, a big spike on the day, which is always the case with earnings reports. But generally, it's almost double the amount of volume that's happened before. So maybe people are looking more towards Confluent. I think I'll write it down. I don't even know what they do, to be honest, but I'll write it down and have a look.
So Confluent is
interesting.
basically it's, let me see, it's a SaaS company, but they are what, managed native self-managed software connects. So it connects for existing application and IT and cloud infrastructure.
Okay, so it's on brand then with the rest of the.
So the 200 has a lot of volume at these levels. So there's definitely a lot more trading happening. The point of control, I would say, will be around the $29 mark. So we could see a push up there. But again, that doesn't mean that we will continue the trend up or down. It just means there's a lot of trading happening at these levels. The next big volume shelf on the downtrend would be around the 1887 to 2065. That's what. So there's a lot of trading happening there as well. Because if we break this level, there's not much volume shelf.
It's a bit of a range, as we can see here. Interesting to see if it can break out of it anytime soon. But you've got a lot of volume shelf here as well, as you can see on the screen.
Exactly.
About 22-ish. So that could be a point of interest for people. If not, we might see back down to 18, as you mentioned.
And the interesting part, if you are into option selling, Confluent might not be the best one, because they only have monthly options. They don't do weekly options. So So that's too long of a time frame to be running options on if you like to run weekly options. All right, let's move on to the next one. It's another it's Qualcomm. Qualcomm is in a beautiful sideways range between 151 and 174. That's
Yeah, it's been there for since July of last year.
exactly. So very, very ideal. And from a volume shelf, like the amount of volume we have in this range is crazy. It's like all the bars, like generally when you draw the volume bars, when you see the volume bars, you'll see a very big bar, you'll see a smaller ball, and then very small bars, and then maybe a big bar. In this one, all the bars are pretty much almost at the same level as the point of confluence, right? POC. So crazy how much trading is happening in this range. This is one of the ideal stocks for weekly options, like running the wheel strategy, and you get a decent amount of premium on Qualcomm as well. So I like personally Qualcomm. I run wheel strategy on it a lot. So maybe I'm biased on this one. But we are having a nice bounce of 151 continuously for a long time, honestly.
Yeah, it's a range bound stock. You could, I guess, there's a potential for it to play it back to the top of the range. But for me personally, I'm a bit more of a breakout trader, of course, as you know.
Yeah, this is not a
But
stock for you. You're trading.
no,
No.
no, unless it gets above this area and it comes back down and retests it. But until that happens, I'm not bothered. But also downside as well. I mean, people always say, "But Sean, you're so bullish." I am, yeah, but that's generally what I look for. But you can also play it downwards. So come down, come back to retest that level, and then come back down after that. But I just don't normally do that. I'm a bit more of a bullish mindset. It's just who I am, I guess. Right,
Yeah.
who's next?
Next up is I've never heard of this. It's called DLO. What
Oh,
is
D-Lo, yeah, D-Local. Don't
you
know
know?
what they do, but I've heard the name before. People really, really into this
Okay.
in the last couple of years.
So
But look at that, big drop off.
this is I can tell you, DLocal Limited operates a payment processing platform worldwide. The company offers pay-in solution which the business and get paid for their local products and services through various payment methods. Okay. Okay. So this is a $2.46 billion market cap. Um, yeah, interesting.
It's,
Short interest is not that much, 5.65.
it's been on a decline for a number of years now.
And Wall Street has a hold rating, by the way. They missed their last top line and bottom line. For the next earnings, they have, I guess, four analysts are covering, three have a downward revision. They have a habit of missing their top line, bottom line multiple times. So that's that. On the financials, let's take a look quickly.
Interesting to see what people like, why they like this stock.
So net income is, they have about 20, they, I mean, the net income is erratic. It's not like going up or going down. It's erratic. Some months, some quarters they do well, some quarters they don't do well. Let's look at their cash flow.
I'll bring it up on the visuals that I've got.
Okay. And the cash flow is very bad. I mean, they're in negative territory. So they went into a loss of 124 million. Wow.
Yeah, wow, that's not good, is it? You can see that represented on the screen there. Big cash flow negative. I mean, everything else is not doing too badly. I mean, net revenue retention is not great either. That's probably why the overall decline might be happening. Net income, like you said, was a bit erratic, of course. But they're doing well on revenue, but the operating expenses unfortunately increasing, which doesn't balance out. What you want to see is revenue going up with operating expenses either going flat or down. Very, very hard to do, but it is possible.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I'll go back to the chart then. I'll get rid of that. Not much happening on the chart, to be honest. It's below all the moving averages. It's below lots of major supports and resistances. We are just about coming to this most recent support, but it's a big no-go for me. It's not really much going on. I mean, you've got a big gap here, of course, but we've just looked at the fundamentals and we don't like them. At least I didn't like them. I imagine you didn't like them either.
No, absolutely.
Yeah. So that from getting from 860 to 1360 seems like a very hard objective for this stock at the moment.
And the question I think you should ask yourself, I mean, unless you are day trading this, like you're looking at 1 minute chart, 5 minute chart to really buy and sell on the day off, what is the unique proposition point for this particular brand or company? I don't know, honestly, and I'm not. I haven't done my research to have an educated response, but doesn't look that doing anything special here. They have a payment processing system, pretty much, but could be wrong.
Yeah. Awesome.
Okay, next up is my favorite company, Apple. Oh my god.
Have your way with us.
Oh my God. Well, honestly, man, I really want Apple to come down to the 170 range because um, in April of last year, they had that gap up and the stock just continued running up. So that gap has never been filled. Now, it doesn't mean it will come down, but I don't see any reason for why we are paying so much premium to Apple. And let me get, so Dan Ives and all the other bullish analysts who were pumping Apple last year in what August, September, Apple Intelligence will come out, that will push the cycle out, the super cycle for upgrade of iPhone. So apparently that is getting delayed, and we are hearing, at least on the news, that it might even get delayed for 2027. So if there are no unique features for Apple Intelligence, why would an Apple iPhone user upgrade unless out of necessity, right? So there is no feature specifically that will push people to upgrade their phone. Now, iPhone still accounts for the most revenue on Apple. So I'm not against Apple. I'm just saying I don't see why I need to pay a premium price to own Apple when the growth is stunting
Yeah.
and there's no new product that's actually sticking. And this is the first time that has happened. Sorry to cut you off. This is the first time that has happened that Apple actually promised something. Generally, they're always late to the game for every feature, which is fine. That is how we know Apple. But when they come out with the feature, they always stick. This is the first time, and they have accepted it as well, that they said they promoted Apple Intelligence, but they were not ready for it. So.
No, you're just saying that there's no growth, so why would I invest?
Yeah, why would you want to pay 213 for Apple today when there is no
It's
super
not-
cycle coming in anytime soon?
Exactly. No innovation, nothing at the moment.
Yeah. By the way, don't get me wrong, Apple is my biggest position. But that doesn't mean that I'm in a cult or Apple cult, right? It is what it is.
This area here of 198 though is a very appealing area for I think investors obviously definitely, but traders as well mainly maybe. I know you're talking about the 170 area. It's coming back down to the weekly 200 moving average, which is for me a touch dramatic maybe. But I think this 198 area will see a bit of a bounce just because of the couple of resistance points here and the bounce we had here before in August of last year, that dramatic Monday. So this is like a typical breakout trade, should we say, but on a longer time scale, of course. So I do think we'll get a little bit of support here at 198 if we were to come down there. But that's not that far away, really, in terms of percentage-wise. So if we keep dropping down there, it's only 7% away.
Yeah.
And considering where we've come from, I mean, we've come from highs of about 260, and that's a 17% drop. So we've had a big move already.
And Apple could still go down while the market is going up, right? Because sometimes the stocks do get impacted because of the broader market, but the fundamentals are weakening for Apple, right? You can even hear Gene Munster, who's one of the biggest proponent of Apple, right? Even he's saying there's, we need to be careful. Super cycle might not come this year. There is zero difference. I own an iPhone 14, right? There's no difference between 15 and 16, and there will be no difference between the 17. So why would I want to upgrade when there is really no real difference? Your camera got better. Well, who cares?
I was thinking about that earlier, actually. I mean, I've got my phone sat here right now. But it's perfect. I love it. It's so good. I mean, it's a 14. There's nothing.
Yeah, you and I have 14.
I don't feel like I need a new phone for a couple of years.
Exactly. And with the economic with the consumer sentiment also souring, keep in mind, Apple is a consumer product. Consumer might not want to spend that money when the eggs are still expensive.
Yeah.
Just saying.
But the eggs prices have gone back down now, haven't they? So
no, that is all. There is no egg prices have come down. You can still go and you still see
you at least
on the eggs. I know that the whole BS is happening on the the media and Twitter. Go to the market. At least in my area, it has not come down. So if it has come down in your area, good luck. Have fun. Enjoy the egg.
But yeah, I think you're a bit sour on the situation. Where should we move to next? I think it was a good discussion on Apple.
Next is VRT.
VRT. Okay. I think we've covered this one before.
I think so. Yeah, it has come up a couple times.
It seems to have sold off quite nicely. I still don't. Well, I can't remember what they do. I probably did know at one point, of course.
Let me tell you.
But
So they design, manufacture, and services critical digital infrastructure technologies and lifecycle services for data centers, communication network, and commercial and industrial environment in US, Asia Pacific, Europe, and Middle East and Africa. Well, basically the world. The company offers AC and DC power management products, switchgears, and busbar products, and many other products. So basically data center related equipment.
Okay, so we've had a bit of a run up, obviously since the early parts of 2023, where it was $14, all the way up to $150, which is about a 10x, and then come back down to 87. So maybe a bit of a kind of a reality check, maybe for the stock. It'd be interesting to see if it gets a bit of support around here. Now, this is the weekly chart, so it's a bit more dramatic. We had a bit of a low here set on that August, as we mentioned with Apple, and then a higher low on September, and might have just had a bit of a higher low here. But we've got so much volume here on the right side, so maybe it's just trying to hold on to that volume a little bit. But in terms of a weekly chart, I wouldn't jump in here anytime soon, just because it doesn't look great for setup wise. Maybe if we jump into daily, we might see something different. No, not really.
No, not really. We still have that. So the 87.45 where it ended, it's pretty much, I felt like it lost steam at that point in time, and we could continue to see downward because the volume also is a little bit lower on that compared to the levels of 75 going to 83. So I would look for a 78, 89 as our support level. That was a resistance prior. So that would be your first support if it loses. I mean 78, 50, somewhere over there, depending on how closely you want to draw the line. But that would be your absolute support. If it breaks, you could see further downtrend on this one.
So you'd be looking for a bit of a higher low almost.
Yeah.
That kind of area.
Yeah. But it's still in a downtrend. I don't see unless the person who asked for this, unless they have some kind of a catalyst coming on, they did declare a dividend. So it's a dividend.
They did pay a dividend, yeah.
So from a short term, I would look at the 78.67 holding. As long as it holds and we see a reversal, we could probably get into I think probably you could do a call credit on this one also.
There's a few gaps above as well. You've got 120 and 145. So there's a couple of gaps to aim for if we do get that kind of turnaround, that reversal confirmation for Vertiv.
Yeah, and actually 95.42 around that area is also a lot of touch points. So that could act as the previous resistance could act as a resistance again. And 78.67. So this could be a nice range actually to trade from the bottom of the range to the top of the range.
I could see possibly eyeing this one up.
Yeah, definitely looks. Let me just highlight this one on my end. Also,
what's next then?
So just on that one, the IV is also pretty high, so you are definitely getting a pretty good premium on it. So for, let's say, if you're selling an option on this one for 87 at the money, you'll be getting paid about $3.35. So that's a pretty high premium for a stock at this level. So definitely I'm putting it on a watch list, VRT. Next is in your wheelhouse, BABA.
BABA, yeah, it's been going well recently. It's been a bit flat the last few weeks, which is nice to see because it's a bit more of a consolidation. But a huge run up at the beginning of the year, from about $80 all the way up to kind of 140, 130 area. And we're just kind of calming down a bit. Perhaps we have a bit of a wedge kind of happening now. I haven't actually looked into this one for a couple of weeks, to be fair. But maybe something like that. And then the bottom of obviously coming through there. So maybe setting up for another bit of a run. But I'm quite happy for this one just to keep trading flat for a little while, keep consolidating, bring up the moving averages a little bit. And then maybe we can make that move, which a lot of people have been talking about, of that 175 up here in the top right corner, which you can't see because there's things in the way. But yeah, 175 you can see just below the triangle.
Yeah.
That's kind of the next stage, I believe, for me at least, for Barber. I like it. I mean, would I get in here now? I'm not so sure, especially after a run up. But there's no reason why you can't get in it, and then perhaps keep a nice tight stop loss so you don't, you get to protect your account in that sense. But I mean, it's run up 74% to where it is now, so it's been already quite a large run. Doesn't mean to say, of course, it doesn't keep running. We've seen it with Palantir, we've seen it with SoFi in the past. Runners run, and that's kind of how you trade them in and around that area. But I would advise with a stop loss that's quite tight if you were to jump into this anytime soon. Any thoughts on Barber, Kaye, or not so
No,
much?
I think overall the sentiment in the market is that the outside US markets are performing way better than the US markets, and I think that is also fueling a lot more run on Baba and other Chinese companies, I guess.
100%.
Next up is Tesla.
Tesla, and we've got ABBV, and then we'll call it there because I want to go watch the rest of the football.
Yeah, so Sean does not want to talk about stocks today enough. Plus we don't have any more ticker requests, so that's Sean. Lucky you.
I know, it's meant to be. I mean, we are losing 2-0, so it's not great, but still. Tesla, I mean, it's been pretty good, actually. I mean, I spoke about this a bit earlier on the X profile. It's come back down to this gap fill of 120, filled it for a couple of days, and then, pumped up after that a little bit, back into the zone of interest that I've had for the last few weeks, in between 245 and 263. But there's just so much noise around Elon and kind of the vehicles. Are they selling? Are they delivering? Are they not delivering? Which areas are they delivering them in? Is China falling through? Is US now being impacted by Elon and all that kind of stuff? Are they starting to turn to Lucid, to Rivian, to Ford, etc.? So there's just so much noise around this at the moment. It's a bit more of a day trading stock. If you can manage that, then well done. But it's a bit more of a day trading stock than it is a long-term stock at the moment. I mean, these prices, I'll keep going for a second. These prices are very appealing for a long-term investor because it's come down from highs all the way down to now for about 50% fall off. So that's quite a dramatic fall, and I think it's one of the highest in Mag 7 for the year to date. But yeah, I mean, it's appealing here. There's no reason why you can't add here for a longer term, but it's a mess. What are your thoughts, Kaye?
Well, I think we can all agree it's a mess, right? Among the Mag 7, and I posted this, did I post on X or somewhere else? So among the Mag 7, if you actually step back, we're not a cult member here, right? So if you step back for a second, all the Mag 7, except Tesla, they have a net income of tens of billions of dollars. Apple is, I think, somewhere in the 90, Google is in 100, I think Amazon is in the 60s, same with Meta, NVIDIA is in, I don't know, 50, 60, something like that. Our friend Tesla is $7 billion in net income. Okay, great. Because Tesla mostly sells on the vision. And here's a problem with that, right? So there's only so much. Till Elon was busy selling the vision, it made a lot more sense. The problem now is that Elon has put himself in a spot or a spotlight where people are actually looking and protesting against the vehicle. Even if you're neutral and you have nothing to do with being on one side or the other side, that may push some customers away, right? They don't want their new vehicle to be keyed in because some crazy person is upset about Tesla and Elon. And I don't know if you guys followed the latest news. Even Tesla wrote a letter to the White House saying the tariffs are not going to help Tesla because we cannot produce or source all products in the United States. So even Tesla is coming out and kind of saying the same thing that other businesses are saying. So right now, I mean, honestly, we did have a bounce. It doesn't look very promising bounce. Like pretty much when we fell on Monday, we just returned that back on that day off, right? If you go back to the daily, right? So I would say 200 is a psychological level for me personally. So we could see. So yeah, so you saw the down bar on Monday, right? We pretty much did pretty much made the same amount. So if you were trading on a daily basis, you probably would have made a lot of money. Long-term investor, like, I mean, I already have a lot of exposure on Tesla, so I'm not adding at these levels unless we see really good discount, maybe breaking to the 185s, maybe below that. Sounds crazy, but it sounded crazy coming down 50% from the all-time highs too.
Yeah, I think one thing I would add there, that this candle we've just set for the weekly does, I mean, I really like this type of candle. I know it's a bit of a strange thing to say after everything I've just said, possibly a bit negative to Tesla, but just as a candle observation, it's a very large hammer candle. So price action came all the way down, basically 20% down. No, hang on, 240, yeah, something like that. All the way down and pushed all the way back up again. And then it's not green, but it's basically green because of how much it's moved. I know there's obviously very large candles on here, but the nature of the candle itself is very, very appealing. And coming back into this zone of 245, which I started my discussion of, 245 to 263, I mean, again, that's quite nice to see. So theoretically, from trading 101, it should go up, but obviously it's Tesla, so it will do whatever it does. And Will A says, of course, the hammer is massive. And I think he's talking about the chart, nothing else.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, Tesla is an interesting one. We'll see how the news impacts it this week as well. There's some really cool projections on Wednesday.
One thing I'll add, if you follow Dan Ives, the guy who wears all the colorful suits, even he finally admits that Tesla is a story for 6 to 12 months, 18 months. But short term, we may see pain. So finally, even they are changing their tune. And that's exactly the point, right? I mean, short term, we could see a lot more pain. The point is how, and I think there are two key things that we all have to follow if you trade Tesla, if you are an investor in Tesla: the delivery numbers, and take your emotions out. We see the Elon Musk's fans and cult members always pushing Tesla is the greatest company on planet Earth and blah, blah, blah. All that is great. I like the story. I want Tesla to go up, honestly, because it's good for my portfolio. But the numbers, how is it really impacting? We can say, okay, because of the Model Y refresh, that's one. And number two, the robo-taxi event. I think that is going to be the key event for Tesla. If they flounder that event, man, I'm telling you, I don't know what's going to happen with Tesla at that point in time. That has to be spot on, executed to perfection. That's the only thing that will turn around the story here.
Yeah, I think you've ended up well there for Tesla. Should we move on to the last one of the day?
Yep.
ABBV. Now, I don't really trade this one or look at this one ever, but I know it's a dividend-paying company. I know lots of people love it. But
I love ABBV. It's in my long-term portfolio, and man, this is a beast of a stock when it comes to dividend investing.
Wow, look at that.
Yeah, it's a beast of a stock. I mean, I think most dividend investors, if you talk to them, they have probably owned ABBV at some point in time, if they have, or they may still own it. It's a beast of a stock.
So since the COVID drop, which I know is a bit more of a dramatic outlook, but since that, it's up 233%.
Yeah.
So even for a dividend stock, that's pretty impressive.
Yeah, and their dividend rate is also pretty amazing, right? Their forward dividend yield is 3.10%. Yeah. So you are getting basically $6.56 for the year on each stock that you own. So it's pretty good dividend-wise. It's a beast of a stock. I mean, I don't.
Not much to add.
I don't run wheel strat. I don't trade dividend stocks that much because they don't have a good liquidity. But from a long-term investing standpoint, I tend to add ABBV on a regular basis, I would say.
Yeah, I've got nothing to add to this one, just because it's not, like you said, it's not a trading stock too much because liquidity. It's not really, it doesn't move as fast as I would like some stocks to be. The smaller caps, of course. But yeah, I've got nothing really much to add. I mean, it's a bit toppy now, but it doesn't really matter really, because RSI, yeah, it's a bit high, yeah, it's coming down a bit, but it's not a divergence or anything like that. So yeah, I don't know what to add to that. Nothing.
No, I think that
I
makes
think you said it right.
Yeah, I mean, from a trading standpoint, doesn't make any sense to trade this one. You get better option better return on investment on other tickers. But again, as a dividend company, it's a beast of a company. There is not much to add.
Exactly right. And with that, obviously, thank you very much for all of your comments and all of your requests, kind of with the stocks, etc. We really do appreciate it. It's been a really good session, I think. I've written down a few names. I've got a couple of video ideas as well, which is always good to have. I'm going to go enjoy the rest of the football now. But we thank you very much for joining us. Obviously, I think I've already said that. And obviously, thank you to Wolf as well for letting us use the platform. We really do appreciate it. We love to do it. We love to have a look at charts, of course, and give our perspectives, etc. Anything to add here, Kaye, to close us out?
You summed it very nicely. I wish everybody enjoy the week, have a safe week, and have fun trading.
Yeah, trade safe, and watch out for Wednesday. It's going to be a volatile day, a couple of hours before market close. Yeah, take care, everyone. We'll see you next week.
Take care.